Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for your review. Listen, I'm absolutely buzzing with that. And obviously, yes, it's only Wrexham. But when you see good football, when you see intensity, when you see commitment, when you see a refreshing, which is what I called this team that flew out to America, refreshing, young, energetic, brave, attack-minded team with a new manager, this is what you want to see. This is what you want to see. I'd much prefer to be seeing this against Wrexham than see a bloated squad. You know, last season we were taking Malang Sarrs, we were taking Kennedys, we were taking Alonso's, Emerson's, Barclays. You know, we were taking these type of players, Batshuayi's, out to America. Players that we knew were not going to be in the team, players that we knew were not going to be involved in the season upcoming. And it felt like a waste of time, wasted minutes that could have gone to others, younger players that could have actually done something or proven something for us. In this team, like I said, you know, in a couple of videos ago, we have a team here that everybody wants to impress. Everybody is trying to graduate, which is what Poch called it going into this game. Everyone's trying to graduate. Everyone's trying to, earn their stripes. Everybody's trying to, qualify for this Chelsea squad for next season. Not everyone's going to get it. Not everyone's going to get their place, but there are going to be a few surprises. There are going to be a few that, especially when we go up through the games now. Wrexham's a nice way to start a League Two opposition that have just been promoted. We'll go to Brighton. That's going to be a bigger challenge, a much more difficult challenge for a lot of these young players. But just off the basis of what we saw, that first half in the back four, brilliant performance. Really good football, flowing football from front to back, This team, they were trying to impose themselves and they were moving through the gears very nicely. And I think, there's no negatives to take from this friendly as a whole. If we start with the defence, Chalobah and Humphreys, really good performance. Really strong performance from the both of them. I thought Humphreys especially, obviously I've not really been watching Humphreys at all last season in Germany, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I remember last pre-season he was making a couple of errors. He looked like he had a mistake in him. He's really come a long way from that loan, it seems. I googled him in terms of his preferred foot because I wasn't sure going into the match. When I was watching him play, he seemed to use his left foot a lot, and I was kind of annoyed because I was like, do you know what? We need a right-footed centre-back. Obviously, with Wesley Fofana being out, people are talking about a fifth-choice defender, and I was really annoyed when I saw he was left-footed. But then when I go to people that have been watching him for a long time, that have been following the player closely, they say actually he's right-footed. So now I'm just going to say he's both-footed. He's both-footed. On the basis of what I can see, if he's actually right-footed and he's using his left like that, so comfortable showing himself on his left-hand side, then he's both-footed. And that's, he's one of those players that, listen, he may go out on loan again. He may want to play regular minutes to continue his development, his trajectory from what we saw, from what we got last season in Germany. But if he ends up staying as that extra centre-back, then listen, it would be a mad opportunity for him. And obviously Chalobah was very solid as expected. He was the most experienced player on the pitch. I didn't expect any madness from him, and he was solid. He held it down. Gusto was an interesting watch because he did tuck in quite a bit. It wasn't too much of Gusto overlapping and getting out wide and putting in crazy crosses, which we know he can do. He was tucking in quite a bit, inverting, which was good to see. Obviously, we've heard in the training sessions that Poch has been looking to invert a fullback one at a time. Cucurella was always going to do that, and we always knew he was going to do that. He made a really good recovery challenge in the game as well on a transition. I feel like Cucurella, for me, and I said it in the watch along, Cucurella's got to be like our Aspilicueta almost. I don't really need him to get forward this season. I don't need him to be overlapping. I don't need him to be scoring goals, putting in crosses. If you're going to use Cucurella, use him as an inverted fullback, tuck him in, and let him defend the transitions. Let him be part of the potential back three off the ball. Let him be a player that handles the pace and the speed of others. Not really a player that contributes to our attack. We have plenty of fullbacks that can do that. I think every other fullback is capable of doing that. We saw Chilwell, which we'll get onto later, for the goal. He's capable. Ian Maatsen, need I say more, we'll talk as well. And obviously Gusto and James. So Cucurella is the only fullback that really going forward isn't going to give you what those guys are. So you may as well not use him in that manner if he ends up staying, of course, which it looks like he is according to his quotes pre-match. Really impressed with the midfield. The midfield was young. This was an average age team of 19. You had Santos as your deeper midfielder. You had Cassidy and you had Carney at the tip of that triangle. And first of all, Santos, you have to say, listen, at his age, to take that kind of responsibility under the press and to be in the first phase, back to play, you know, make those triangles, show for the ball, be confident. It's probably one of the hardest jobs to do on the pitch at the moment, because if you get it wrong, you're potentially going to cost your team a massive chance on the opposition side, and you could even cost them a goal. We've seen it happen before with more senior, experienced players. So I thought Santos, to play that role, was really impressive. He was really, really, really mature. And he showed a bit of shithousery as well. Like I was saying in the watch along, showed a bit of shithousery, a little bit of nastiness, and that's what you need, that tenacity. So really impressed with him. And I think the performances of the midfielders, listen, I don't want to jump to crazy conclusions off the first game, because listen, we have tougher games to come. Like I said, Brighton, if these guys can perform when they play, obviously I think it's going to be a lot stronger starting 11 in terms of seniors. You know, we still have Levi Cole to come into this team. We still have, obviously there's injuries, Abadia Shile to Broria, but we still have a few seniors. Enzo Fernandez to come into this team. James is going to be flying to the US. Pochettino confirmed that. So there's still a few seniors to come in here. Mudryk, Madueke, obviously, also part of the under-21s, along with Colwell. They weren't involved. So there's more seniors to come in. But if these young players, when they get the opportunity maybe to come off the bench against Brighton, if they can continue this level of performance, then that's going to even hold a lot more stock, because this is the kind of team, Brighton, that we're going to be playing against on a regular basis in the Premier League. But I thought Santos was really good. Cassidy was really good. Potentially, arguably, I think, man, the match. I was most impressed with Cassidy, because Cassidy's the one that I wasn't as sure about in terms of what I'm getting. Obviously, we've seen the goals, and he's popped up into the box, and he's got his headers, and he's obviously made a name for himself a little bit in that regard. But I wanted to see the passing, I wanted to see the ball carrying, I wanted to see him driving from deep, using that physicality in other ways, and he did that. He really did that. And you know, he got one of the assists, and I thought, you know, it was a really nice pass for Nkunku. But you know, I thought Cassidy was very good in this game, very much involved, and I really enjoyed his performance. But listen, let's start with the goals, man, for Maatsen, because Maatsen's finishes, listen, both goals were fantastic finishes. Make no mistake, the way that he just composed himself and set himself and opened up his body to finish both those chances were wonderful. Jackson being involved in the first one was great to see again. The link up, Jackson was really good in this game. Make no mistake, Jackson's hold-up play, his touch, his close control, to get out, niggle out of tight spaces, lay it off for others, unselfish play to set up Maatsen for the first goal. So I was really happy with Jackson. He showed a serious turn of pace as well in that game. At one stage, goalkeeper unfortunately closed him down, but Jackson looked good. Jackson looked very good. I wanted him to get a goal. I thought that's what his performance really deserved as well in the first half, but couldn't get it in the end. But really impressed with Jackson and his link up and his hold up and his maturity to set up Maatsen in that situation instead of go for goal. Like I said, it was a very composed first finish from Maatsen. Second finish, again, Diego involved in both these games, in both these goals. Diego Morena from the right hand side. I thought out of all the players on the pitch in the first half, he was probably the one that looked the most rusty. I think his first touches were quite heavy. He's only 18 years old, coming from that Benfica B team. A lot of the Benfica fans in the comments, we've done a few collabs, you know, over the months with Adrian. So we had a few Benfica fans kind of come to the channel, and they were letting us know a little bit in the comments that, listen, Diego's a bit rusty. He's not really ready for the first team of Chelsea. I said, listen, okay, cool. Let's see what happens. Let's see how he does. And they were right. You could see it. He was energetic. He pressed for the first goal. He got involved and he laid it off for Jackson and kept it moving. He was involved in the second as well. Bit fortuitous to skip round a player, but managed to make it happen. So at least he was brave in the ball. At least he was involved in the first two goals. And at least he can take something away from the game. But definitely I can see maybe potentially a loan for him. And the reason why is because Angelo, when he came on, second half we moved to a back three. It wasn't pretty for the first 40 minutes of that. Last 10 minutes there, last 15 minutes, we started to go up through the gears. That's where the goals come from. I wasn't enjoying watching the back three. It was a little bit more of a snooze fest. A few people are falling asleep. I'm seeing on the TL this morning, I've seen that a lot of people fell asleep at 2-0. The second half wasn't a fun watch in terms of the back three. But this is the time to try the back three. You know, Poch is now seeing that, and he's now hopefully going to see, okay, we weren't as good with the back three. Maybe we won't use it as much. Better to use the back three now and learn that it's not as good for us and it's not as fluid or potentially as exciting for us to build out from the back and move the ball through the midfield than to do it in a Premier League game against Liverpool at home at Stamford Bridge. So, but I have to say, listen, the second half, when it did click into gear, which it took a while, Angelo obviously comes on, Sterling comes on, Nkunku comes on. Nkunku didn't get many touches, kind of isolated, it felt, up front. You definitely want to play him in behind Jackson for sure. But Angelo, can I speak on Angelo? Because the thing is with Angelo is, what a performance from him when he came on. In comparison to what we saw from Diego, we saw a player that had made a lot more first team appearances. Diego was playing in the B team at Benfica, not too many senior appearances. Angelo has, I think, over 100 senior appearances already in his career, 18, because he was kind of rushed into the Santos team in an emergency. This guy, Angelo, was so good to watch because he's nothing like any of our other wingers. And I say that now. And that's what was so nice to see. Nothing like any of our other wingers. I'm going to talk about this wing position in a second, but Angelo in particular, he had an eye for a pass. His cross, his Ziyech-like cross for Sterling that missed the header, his pass for Chilwell for the final goal, just beautiful composure. And he always wanted to take the ball inside the half spaces, always wanted to cut inside, always wanted to get on the ball as much as possible, make things happen, and he had an eye for a pass. And that's something that Madueke, you could say, doesn't have right now. Mudryk wouldn't say is... Listen, Mudryk has had a couple of nice reverse passes, actually, some nice little crosses I've seen here and there. But he obviously likes to take players on as well. He likes to run at speed. So does Madueke, take people on. Sterling in behind as well. Angelo was coming in with something different in terms of the way that he wanted to control, manipulate the ball, and almost set the tempo of the way we were going to attack in the final third. So I love to see Angelo do that. And potentially, listen, he's always been spoken about as a player that's going to go out on loan. But if he continues to do that in pre-season, I would absolutely love to give someone like him a chance. I keep giving examples of breakouts from last year in the Premier League that people weren't expecting. Players like Matoma, players like Enciso, to name a few of the opposition we'll come up against next. If Angelo has another good couple of performances, then I'd like to think that we could maybe use him as the fourth choice winger. And I spoke about this when people were saying, we have to sign a winger, we have to sign a winger, we have to sign a winger. Let the young players that we've signed fight for that fourth winger spot. It's not many minutes anyway in the Premier League because we don't have many competitions to play. You have Sterling, who's going to play a lot of games. He has to play a lot of games. We'll talk about him in a minute. You have Madueke, you have Mudryk. So the fourth choice winger is not going to get a lot of minutes. So it needs to be somebody that's capable of handling that and capable of impacting, off the bench as a super sub or just sparingly, and is not demanding, a lot of quantity of games. And Angelo would fit that bill. Any of these young players that I'm talking about, in Diego and Angelo, it's a shame that obviously, we don't have the other young wingers that we've signed. They're not qualifying to play these friendlies. They're too young. The likes of Whispers, who's just training. But, if Angelo continues to impress, there's no reason why he can't be that fourth winger. Now, another player that could be that fourth winger, if we bring it back, is Ian Maatsen. Because, listen, the left-back situation is clogged, right? As we said. And Nkunku'S was playing in there from the start. Chilwell comes on. He scores as well. He plays at left-back. And obviously, Lewis Hall comes on in second half and he's playing in midfield. And the only way to keep everybody happy here and to not break any hearts is that Ian Maatsen plays as a winger, as he did in this game, and as he has in training because of the amount of left backs we have. Nkunku'S and Chilwell battle it out as usual for left back, and Lewis Hall plays as a midfielder. And listen, if that's the way it ended up being the case, then I'd have no problem with it, because Ian Maatsen's finishing in the first half was nuts. And listen, we've seen players become wingers from fullback. We've seen Saka had to play left wing back for a season, then turn winger again. We saw Gareth Bale left back become right winger. All I'm saying is, according to the people, the Charlton loanee watchers, the Coventry loanee watchers, this guy has played even right wing at times, chopped in on his left foot, stuck it in the back of the net. And I said it before the watch along, before the game even kicked off, this guy's ball striking is very, very fresh, very clean, very correct. He's a great crosser. He's just a very good player to have going forward. And I think if you're going to use a player like Ian Maatsen in the wing positions next season, which is, I think, something that we've got to consider, because I don't want to see him leaving. If he's going to be playing like this in pre-season, and Nkunku'S demands that he says, listen, I'm not going anywhere. And he does offer something different. Chilwell's definitely not going anywhere because of his contract. And listen, he's the one that passed the Gangan test. And then obviously Lewis Hall, if he plays in midfield, if he goes out on loan, it doesn't really matter because still three left backs is too much. So if Ian Maatsen has to find a new position, then wing could be it. And like I said, this guy going forward is really, really good. So I don't want to rule it out. Yes, he's not, a typical winger, but as we've seen with Pep at Man City, you don't have to have somebody who's going to be taking risks constantly at the wing position, taking people on, dribbling constantly. You know, if that's not the type of player you are, then ball retention, you know, circulate the ball, 1-2s, combination play, getting in behind, you know, popping up at the back post with those shots, crossing the ball. So listen, Ian Maatsen maybe could end up being that guy for us, even if he's not the traditional winger. So let's see. But he's got a bit of pace to him anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised if he can go past a player or two. So really impressed, like I said, with him. And then obviously Sterling comes on second half, and it wasn't as great from him, I'm not going to lie. But he does get his assist for Gallagher. He did miss that chance that I mentioned from Angelo, but he gets his assist for Gallagher, kind of just bobbles into the back of the net. And Gallagher was playing in a 2. He was playing deeper. If Gallagher plays in a 2, I have concerns because obviously he's not press resistant. If he loses the ball in those areas, then it's straight onto our defence. But if he can improve his tackling, which was at one point mistimed, and he gets his interceptions and he gives you that work rate and he obviously covers the ground, then he could be quite a good player, I guess, in the squad to have defensively if we end up keeping him, despite interest from other clubs. If he's playing in the 10, then yes, he's going to be a pressing forward. He's going to crash the box. He's going to potentially score some goals, which is all good. But then in the tight spaces when he's receiving the ball in between the lines, I'm not so sure. So regardless of where he plays, I have concerns about parts of his game. But that's for Poch to decide on and to fix and to improve. But he obviously gets his goal. Sterling wasn't great, but listen, the thing is with Sterling this season is this friendly for me was the youngsters. I was watching the youngsters see who could prove themselves, who could step up to the plate. Sterling's in the team regardless next season in terms of the squad. He has to perform. You know, when you're one of the seniors, when you're one of the 300k earners that didn't get sold, when you're one of the players that are over 25, you have to perform next season. I don't even need to say anything. You know what it is. You know what time it is. You know what Todd Bowie's wage bill is. So you have to perform. You know, Sterling's not starting 30, 32 out of 38 Premier League games next season and getting 10 assists, 10 goals in terms of his contributions, then something's very wrong. So, you know, he has to perform. He has to step up. He has to lead by example in this team. He can't be getting outdone by any Angelos, etc. next season. So, listen, I don't need to speak too much on Sterling. He knows what time it is. In terms of, like I said, Nkunku, didn't get many touches, but his finish for the Cassidy assist, lovely little threaded ball in behind, and then Nkunku just rounds the goalkeeper, sticks it into the top corner, roofs it, brilliant to see, and he's a brilliant finisher. You know, he's someone that 1v1, he's chipping keepers, he's exuding confidence. That's what he's been about last season. So I'm expecting goals from this guy, even if he's running off Jackson as a front 2. I can't wait to hopefully see that front 2 against Brighton because, you know, we didn't get to see it in this game, but I think long term, of course, we'll be looking to see Nkunku playing off the striker, not playing up front on his own. I think we kind of lost our, you want to call it backboard, you want to call it something to build off. We lost that target man in Jackson. Jackson was holding the ball up really well. He's kind of facing the play, someone to play off, somebody to you know, work off a canvas. And I think Nkunku, that's not really where he was looking his best, I think, you know, at Leipzig. So we'll be looking to have him off of Jackson. If Jackson's hold-up play is then facilitating Nkunku to run off of him, I mean, then we could be cooking seriously here, people. So that would be much better to see than what we saw in that second half. But, you know, obviously we have not got many players up there to use, so I was not surprised to see Nkunku take one half and Jackson take another. And then for the final goal, like I said, Angelo just cutting inside, wonderful pass in between the lines of breaking up the defence and straight in for Chilwell, who finished really well. Nice little dink. So listen, overall really, really good performance. No complaints, no negatives at all. I think for me, the standouts, like I said, Humphreys, Chalobah, expected that from him, no surprise. Gusto was good to see, but Humphreys was really good defensively back there, really solid. Santos and Cassidy were brilliant in the midfield, really, really strong. Really good as well for Carney to get his assist. I want to see even more from him. Ian Maatsen, brilliant, and he's opened up my mind to a new possibility of him being in the attack. Because if he's going to be finishing like that, it's not like Marcus Alonso who didn't have any pace. This guy's got pace as well. So if he's going to be finishing like that, we need goals in this team. I'm not against it, especially if I've heard he's been chopping it up from the right wing, cutting it on left foot in lower leagues. Jackson, very impressive as well. So yeah, really good highlights from this game. Great performance from the team. But it is Wrexham, so we move to the next, right? We have Brighton next. And, Yeah, good for confidence. I said it on stream. I think we need to win all of our preseason games if we can. We're too used to losing games at Chelsea last season. Too used to dropping points. Yes, there's no points on the board for this. Yes, it's not a competitive game. It's a friendly. But I think personally, for momentum, for confidence, just win all the games. Just try and win all the games, and hopefully that spirals into the Liverpool home game against them. So that's how I see it. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I was very, very impressed. Very, very happy with that. And on to the next one. I can't wait to watch us play again. That was a breath of fresh air. Hopefully no more three at the back, because we've definitely seen enough of that. But yes, I'm expecting a stronger lineup against Brighton. You know, Kepa to come into this team. Like I said, Levi Colwill, Mudryk, Madueke. So it's probably going to be a bit of a different team. But I hope to see a lot of these guys again. The Santoses, the Cassidys, the Maatsens, the Angelos, the Jacksons, of course, will definitely play. I want to see more of these guys. So until next time, big up your damn selves. Smash up the likes. Subscribe. In a bit, people. Peace.